Great weekend for us on senior day. The guys played really well. I was really pleased offensively. We felt going in that we needed to be able to rush the football for 250 yards, and that was kind of our goal. If we thought we could get to that, it set up a lot of the play action stuff, and we were able to get closer to 350, and so that obviously opened up a lot of the play action. So really pleased with the offensive output, running the ball and throwing the ball, and then on defense. You guys that were down at the game in Vermilion last year, our biggest issue was basically lining up against the tempo, and so we worked against the tempo style all summer, all fall, and I visited Georgia last spring, got a lot of things. The defensive staff visited Clemson, got a lot of things to handle tempo, and we felt really comfortable going into it with the game plan, and obviously executed it really well. It was, talk about a guy that epitomizes what Bison football and Bison pride is. James Hendricks played 55 snaps of will linebacker, never played will linebacker before. We told him on Monday he was going to be a will linebacker, and he embraced it, learned how to play the position in 2 practices, and played 55 snaps. And so needed to have him because obviously Levi was out, and Chris being limited like he was, he really stepped up. So great performance by James and a great job by Matt getting him ready to play. So on the negative side, we have to clean up penalties on our return game that are frustrating us because we just cannot get behind the sticks like that and have those long fields. And then obviously had 3 injuries this week. I would say the worst of the 3 was probably Dom Davis. He will be out for sure, a groin injury. Kunert's got an outside chance. He's having an MRI today, outside chance to play. They don't think it's ligament, maybe an MCL, but it's Kunert. He might be able to play. And then Shep felt pretty good, mild strain of the hamstring, so we'll see how he progresses this week. So we'll open up for questions.
Levi, how's he doing after kind of rehabbing some stuff last week?
Yeah, we're hopeful, but I would say, that's probably a doubtful right now. We'll see how he does the next couple of days, but I know we'll get Chris back more full speed, and Chris will slide in more to that one of our outside linebacker spots.
I'm sorry, do you mean Dom is out for the year? Or
no, I just think this week, yeah. Yep.
The move with Levi to Will, you got some kids that are, our linebackers. Was that more of you really felt like you needed to use
James?
I'm sorry, yeah. Mm-hmm. So did you feel like you needed to use James because they were so spread out, or did you feel like maybe some of those younger linebackers just weren't ready?
More of the spread and the fact that he's such a smart football player, and he's played a lot of football where the other guys have played special teams. He's played in game situations, and so I knew the stage wasn't going to be too big for him, and that's why we moved him.
What do you think? You're preparing to see 2 quarterbacks?
I would believe so. Who knows? He's gonna. And Brock is good. He's gonna hold it until the end, and as well he should. And we have film on both guys. Only a game and some snaps on the young man that played on Saturday. But they're 2 different style of quarterbacks, obviously. So we have to be prepared for both.
Are they more traditional, Chris, offensively still from what they've pretty custom what
compared to what we've seen the last 2 weeks? They are, with all the RPOs and all the high tempo, up tempo, offense. They're a little bit more conventional. They can go up tempo, but they'll get in a huddle and things like that. But with the quarterback run game, it creates another level that makes it difficult for a defense, and that's why we have to do a great job of making sure we're game plan ready for that.
What do you think makes this program so good after a loss?
Well, the great leadership we have on our team with our seniors and juniors of not making too much of it, and the fact that we had a loss, and if you let it linger, same team's going to beat you twice, and our guys and our older upperclassmen do a great job of holding everybody accountable and making sure that we just try to attack each day and learn from the mistakes. And and in senior day and coming off a loss, it was going to be probably difficult to beat us in the Fargo Dome here.
Chance to grab this title by yourself. How much is that an emphasis this week?
That's a big emphasis. We're excited that we at least have a share of it, but we know at stake to be able to win it outright, which is really difficult, doesn't happen a lot in this league, to be able to win it outright is really important to these seniors. Obviously, it would set us up more from a home field advantage if we were able to be successful. So this is a big game and against a team that probably needs to win to have an opportunity to make the playoffs. So it'll be a playoff atmosphere.
As well as you've seen Marquise play, and how big is he now that you might not have down for a while?
Yeah, he played really well, and he's shown signs of that in previous games. It's just becoming more and more consistent in practice. So when it becomes more consistent in practice, Coach Klieman and Coach Shep just feel more comfortable the more reps he gets. And that was the other thing, is we haven't played 88 plays all season, and we were out there for 88 plays on defense. So we needed to play multiple guys at every spot. You saw us take Jalen Allison off the field as well. It's just that high tempo of an offense, you need to be able to be fresh. And you guys saw if a ball was incomplete or somebody substituted, it was a hockey rotation in there with our defensive line. I mean, we were 4 in, 4 out every time we could.
So when you go to these places like Georgia, you said, and Clemson, what are you looking for? What, I mean, how receptive?
Well, they're really receptive because I think they have respect for what we've done here as a program, and we're just asking those guys in the SEC or ACC, how do you defend the fast-paced, no-huddle offenses? Can you give us some drills? Can you give us video evidence? Can you go through and show us how you guys are handling things? And they show us, send us practice clips and stuff. They've been great to us. You know, I have the relationship with the people at Clemson because I was out there to speak, and Coach Venables was gracious enough to let our defensive staff in there for a few days, and then I had the opportunity to speak at the Georgia clinic, and a good friend of mine's on the staff now that was the offensive coordinator with Coach Clay's last year at Minnesota, Jay Johnson. And so those guys are great to us. You know, that's the thing that is nice to see, is when you reach out to somebody and they respect what we've been able to do, that they have no problem sharing those things.
Is Josh Hayes then potentially a guy that could see more reps than this week?
He's another guy that as the season's gone on and practices have gone on, he's become more and more comfortable in our system. He's a wonderful athlete in man-to-man coverage skills and ability to tackle all those things. He can do those things, but just learning our defense probably took a little bit more time than maybe even Josh thought. And now he's starting to feel more and more comfortable, and like the coaches on the defensive side would say, he blends in more at practice. You don't say, well, there was a freshman that made a mistake practice or game 5, game 6. Now we're into game 10 and 11, and he's blending in much better. And so they felt comfortable playing him. And those guys just went through the rotation. There was a couple times I looked, and I'm like, oh, we have Josh and Marquise out there, but in 2 young guys really, but they've really played well and progressed well. So it's helping us down the line, especially if we get into these up-tempo games.
At the end of last year, you talked a lot about the difference in depth that James Madison had versus you guys did at the end of the year. You've taken just sheer number of injuries this year, but you have that depth this year. What's that a result of? What did you guys change in a year so quickly?
Well, a combination of Coach Kramer and his staff getting kids bigger, faster, stronger, a combination of the double reps that we do in spring and fall practice, and emphasizing the fact that, guys, people are going to go down. It's just the nature of the sport, and when your number's called, you have to be ready to step up. And we're still thin, obviously, at the running back position and linebacker position, but with the depth we have at corner and safety, it helps us probably on some of those special teams to get maybe not the biggest bodies out there on kickoff and punt and stuff, but fast athletic guys. And it's been a point of emphasis to try to make sure that when we drill the special teams things and do a lot of NDSU versus NDSU during the season, it's not the DeLucas and Tanguays and stuff out there. It's the next defensive lineman that's going in. It's the next linebacker. It's the next corner, so that they understand our system.
You said Saturday that you thought you had 12 or 13 season-ending injuries. Is that as challenging as a situation as you've had since you've been here? Because
absolutely. Mainly because it attacked the 2 positions, you know, with the running back and the linebacker position so much. And so, yeah, I mean, everybody knows you're going to have some, and we've probably overcome the Greg injury because that was the only one in the defensive line, so we were able to have those guys, multiple guys, come through and play a lot. And last year it hit us at the D tackle spot. This year with the running back linebacker position, it's affected us having to pull a red shirt on Seth. It's affected us with moving James to linebacker, so to speak. But the other guy that we've, knock on wood, is we've really played with one quarterback since Robert Morris. In the fact of Cole Davis now is going to be cleared to practice finally this week. He practiced a little bit last week, but he wasn't throwing the football, just handing it off. We believe this week he'll be able to throw it. Will he be available on Saturday? I don't know, but we've really played with Easton, and James is his backup.
James, 6'1", 205. Is he 205? And
Probably closer to 200.
Is that big enough to play in that spot normally?
No, not normally. But in this type of offense, it wasn't the scheme that was going to hurt you against South Dakota. It was the tempo that was going to hurt you. So we had really vanilla calls. I mean, we played maybe 4 defenses the whole game, and he learned how to play those 4 defenses because he's an extremely smart kid, and was able to play at a pretty high level, and just understood, if you understand, you fit outside, you fit inside, you know where your help's at, and he does. He was able to be able to do those things quickly. And last week, we had him play some snaps at safety. He played some snaps at linebacker. Then he goes for 10 minutes each day and plays quarterback. So he's doing everything. And so I told him, you may be playing, the only kid in the country is playing will linebacker one series and playing quarterback the next. And that's the reality of it. And so that's why I think our seniors, and James is just a sophomore, our seniors have such an unbelievable appreciation for what that kid does. He comes up and meets with Coach Hedberg during the morning, in between classes, gets some notes from Easton, goes and meets with Coach Klieman. Typically last week he met with Coach Ince. I went to practice, warmed up with the DBs, went to linebacker drills, went to inside run as a linebacker. Once we went to a team period, shipped him down to Coach Hedberg for 10 minutes, watched him spin it around there for 10 minutes, and then said, come on back, you got to play linebacker the rest of practice. That's Bison pride right there. That's a kid that wants to do it for the program.
Coach, even if Shep comes back, do you still expect to see Dimitri Williams get a lot of snaps this weekend?
Yep, absolutely. Dimitri really showed up well, and I was excited for Dimitri. He's an electric player and made plays at critical times. The jet sweep he had near our goal line probably could have been a tackle for a loss, and he broke a tackle and got a big gain, and then great over to the shoulder catch and made a good play on Easton's scramble. So I know that's given him confidence as well. So, yeah, we have to be smart with Shep because we don't want this. If he's able to play, how much? And if he's not able to play, then Dimitri's got to go. But we don't want this to linger on with Shep either.
It wasn't to a point now where you can go through the whole depth and breadth of your offense with him. And is it important for you guys to keep he and Ty's reps low so they stay healthy and so that they're fresh?
Yeah, obviously Ty has so much more experience than Seth, so we will rely on Ty more than Seth with the entire offense. But Seth is learning more and more. It was the product of being up as many scores as we were that we just gave him more snaps and more carries just so that we could get him more comfortable and try to get him more up to speed for when we need him later on in the season. So, ideally, Ty would carry it a little bit more than Seth, but just didn't happen that way on Saturday.
Is it unusual, Chris? I mean, you see enough of these scout guys in practice. Isn't it usual to see a freshman running back finish runs like he does? I mean, he breaking tackles. I mean, that's kind of a common for an 18-year-old kid, isn't it?
It is really, and happy for him. I mean, he's a really mature young man and made a great run. I mean, there was 2 unblocked players there, and he made one miss in the hole. And he's a pretty powerful kid for 185 pounds, and he's got really good quicks and then he kind of ran through a tackle at the end. I was so happy for him. Now you hope he sees that and says, I belong at this level. I can play at this level, especially as a freshman. And you look at what Bruce did as the season went on, as we got into the playoffs, his true freshman year. He really rose up during that time. We're hoping the same thing with Seth.
Bruce, how would you assess his performance? Is he living up to your expectations as a junior now?
Well, yes. To answer your question, yes, he and Lance had a really good complement to each other. Bruce got banged up on the one hit on the screen pass, and that was early enough, and he was pretty sore. yesterday, but he was our special teams player of the game as well. He made 3 tackles on kickoff and doing a really nice job. And I think he missed a couple of holes that I think Bruce wishes he had back. But in the same respect, I'm really pleased with what Bruce is doing. And some of the things where people are blitzing us that, only Bruce and Lance really are the guys trained to really pick those blitzes up. They've done a really nice job. So I'm really pleased with Bruce.
Like Jackson Brown and Aaron Mercadal, does it take a special kind of mentality to play that way, especially on kickoff?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, you have to have a kamikaze mentality, and Coach Gazer does a great job with that team. And, Jackson is so fast and can disrupt so many things. And I was pleased with what he did. I was pleased with what Chris Board did on that, Merck, Bruce, and we had a lot of guys making some plays, and we just looked so much faster on that kickoff team. When you add Ty, you add Bruce, Jackson healthy, Chris a little bit healthier, and then we had Jabril on there as well. Jabril played a lot of snaps. He played almost every snap of defense and then everything on kickoff and punt, and that was a concern for us with the amount of special teams plays we had, as well as 88 snaps on defense.
Austin can't go. Does Luke move into that spot like he did during the game, or do you change anything up on that line?
We'll combine. We'll use Zemer more. Zeem will be in the mix. We don't want to just play the 5 like we have. I mean, we've been rotating Luke in there. Now we'd rotate Zeem in there. So we'll still play 6. The best thing about this week is Kunert doesn't need to practice a whole lot because he's seen every rep. So it's going to give Zeem and Luke a lot more reps with the first group. And if Austin can go, Mez didn't practice a lot last week, and he played at a high level. You get to be a senior, and you understand what you're doing. And Zeem's a senior, and I'm looking forward to Zeem getting a few more reps this week.
How do you handle that situation with a kid like Mesner as a child last week? And, I mean, you've obviously been there.
Not at 21, I wasn't. Or 22 or whatever he is. Happy for Mez. But you're right, he missed a couple of days because of things that were going on in his life, and he just communicated with myself and Coach Riley, and he's taken so many snaps, and he understands what he's doing, and we've got such a tight-knit group of offensive linemen that he was there Thursday. Came back on Thursday, had a bunch of meetings with Coach Riley, and then was able to practice, had his meetings on Friday. And when you get to this late in the season, it is more about your mental reps than it is your physical reps. You come out to practice and we're still popping guys pretty good, and sometimes I kind of cringe and say, okay, we could back off a little bit. That was probably a good week for Mez to back off because I think Mez played one of his best games.
It's the first time you've been in Normal in 5 years. The stadium is completely different. Is that a deal at all? I know you don't do any walkthrough or anything, but it's a different look for you guys.
Yeah, it'll be a different look. Just see it on film is the only thing we see it on. The last time we were there was 2012, and we're on the opposite sideline, I believe, now as well. And same locker room, I'm assuming. I've been to Normal so many times as a player and as coach. So, no, we won't go to the stadium anything different. Just no different than we did going to Eastern Washington, and nobody ever seeing that.
Make of Illinois State this year? It seems like they've been a victim of the Missouri Valley, just with how tough it is, but they also beat South Dakota as well, so and took SDSU to overtime. So
yeah, it's just how good our league is. There's some, you watch what those guys did to Youngstown, and Youngstown was a one possession either way you look at it at Youngstown. Well, they went to Youngstown and it was 38-40 to nothing. Then you see Southern Illinois flip the script on them. And yeah, it just shows you this league. They really handled South Dakota. They won the game up front, and South Dakota State they had an opportunity to win and took it all the way to the wire at South Dakota State. So no, it's just this league. You just never know. It's such a good league.